Television. The thing we used to watch on our TVs. TV, which of course stands for something or other. There are still great television broadcasters, but none of them got fired this week. On the other hand, there's Stephen Colbert. CBS broke the news last week that their Late Show franchise will end next May. They called it a purely financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. And it makes sense. The New York Times reported that ad revenue for late night has dropped by half in the last 7 years. Last year, Jimmy Fallon had to go from 5 nights a week to 4, and Seth Meyers had to fire his band, all due to budget cuts. The year before, after James Corden got fired, CBS replaced him with a cheaper half-hour game show. Worse, Jimmy Kimmel can't even afford to buy Clear Eyes. But those are all the lesser shows. Colbert's is number 1 in the ratings, so surely he's doing better. Well, no. It's reported that the show costs $100 million a year to produce, and that last year it lost $40 to $50 million of that. For context, that's how much the entire WNBA lost last year. So we found something that's even more delusional than this. Those are some pretty damning numbers, but that hasn't stopped everyone from blaming Colbert's cancellation on...
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
Yeah, they don't have much to go on, but they're blaming it on Trump. Here's their argument. CBS is pursuing a merger right now with Skydance. The merger has to be approved by the federal government, and they're speculating that CBS canceled Colbert to please Trump. Again, it's pretty thin, but that's what they're going with. Of course, they probably also blame Trump for all the other late-night cuts. I guess he has some kind of beef with Seth Meyers' band, and he's the one who forced James Corden's show to lose $20 million a year. But even if this wasn't designed to please Trump, Trump does seem pleased. On Truth Social, he posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." And Trump knows something about ratings. Trump's Apprentice averaged over 20 million viewers in its first season, and Colbert averages around 2.5 million. If those numbers are hard to wrap your mind around, think of it this way. Trump's ratings made him president, and Colbert's ratings got him a sponsored segment from the Kellogg's Corporation. Not a Photoshop. Again, I don't think Trump did this, but if he wants to act like he did and it makes these people even 1% sadder, I say, go ahead. And I do think it's working. From the looks of it, every county librarian in New York State came out to protest the cancellation, with posters saying, "Colbert stays, Trump must go." They're treating this guy like he's the next George Floyd. Just like it's supposed to be George Floyd's birthright to rob a liquor store, it's Colbert's birthright to make millions of dollars lecturing us every night. And like George Floyd, if you imply that Colbert's demise is in any way his fault, you're a fascist. But the protesters outside weren't alone. Sonny Hostin of The View said that Colbert's cancellation means that the
Constitution is being dismantled.
That's right.
Yes, I think we all remember the Constitution's famous Colbert Clause, the right of a middle-aged millionaire with poor sight and a weird ear to tell the nation his inane opinions shall not be infringed. Forsooth. CNN, of course, also blamed this on Trump. They paid tribute by playing a few of their favorite moments from this renowned comedian.
They're not whole countries. For one, Donald Trump isn't their president.
This is unspeakably monstrous. Donald Trump is a fascist.
Remember when Donald Trump said he was going to be a dictator only on day one? Well, evidently his first act as dictator was declaring that day one never ends.
Whatever you think of the content, this is not how you pay tribute to an entertainer. They're talking about him because they think he's a brave, important voice. In other words, they see him the same way they see themselves. And another group that recognizes Colbert as one of their own, Redditors. After the announcement, this image was posted to the Stephen Colbert subreddit. That's worse than I remembered. But what did his late-night colleagues have to say? Well, they all released statements, but I want to look at what they said about it on their shows. Jon Stewart's response got the most attention because he led a black choir and a chorus of "Go F Yourself," proving in the process that he's never heard music before. Go F yourself! The episode also set a new runtime record for the show. I guess that's what you do when you won't be setting any new records for viewership. Wow, John, that show was certainly long. Jimmy Fallon did a couple of typically tepid jokes about it, Seth Meyers didn't address it, and Jimmy Kimmel was out this week. Let's check out what his guest host had to say.
Some of you may remember me as Nightcrawler from the X-Men concept, but I happen to believe that there are actual superheroes in real life who walk among us. And these superheroes are called trans people.
But Colbert did respond in his Monday show with his trademark wit.
Go F yourself.
Billy Pratt on Twitter has this phrase, "Millennial culture is vulgarity culture." And if you're looking for the source of a lot of that sensibility, look no further than these three. Colbert and Stewart are both on the young end of the boomer generation, and their comedy was built to apply to those exciting young millennials in the mid-aughts and early 2010s. It's soured at the same rate that whole culture soured. See above. But if those responses aren't millennial-coded enough for you, the next part of Colbert's response was a musical number featuring a cover of Coldplay's Viva La Vida by Lin-Manuel Miranda, also featuring all the other late-night hosts. The only way they could have proved more that they're trapped in 2013 is if they brought out Jeremy Lin to do the Harlem Shake. But even though the show still has 10 months left, the big question still lingers. What's next for Colbert? Folks have been drawing parallels to Conan O'Brien. When he left The Tonight Show after 7 months of hosting, fans followed him to cable and then to his podcast. Okay, maybe, but there's no parallel as far as unfair treatment. Conan had The Tonight Show for 7 months total, and Colbert just got his 10 months notice. And there's the fact that Conan's lowest Tonight Show ratings were higher than Colbert's average. Also, Conan provides comedic value and not just partisan finger-wagging. So maybe we should look at some other late-night examples. Seth Meyers has been on network television every day for the past 11 years, and 13 years of SNL before that. But the views for his personal podcast rarely break 10K. Michael Costa hosts The Daily Show once a week, and his podcast is lucky to break 1,000 views on YouTube. And the podcast Colbert did with Fallon, Kimmel, Seth, and Oliver was a miserable failure. I did a whole video about it. So I don't see things going better when he strikes out on his own. So those are his fellow entertainers. What about his fellow political pundits? What's his best case scenario? End up like Joy Reid, Brian Stelter, Don Lemon? And I highly doubt that Colbert has the cultural power to launch something even in the ballpark of what Tucker has. If I were Colbert, I would just try to get some distribution deal with Blue Sky. That, or he can move to Europe and hope everyone forgets about him, which in the talk show world is called pulling an Ellen. The Late Show was a package put together for David Letterman in 1993. CBS invented a late-night talk show to try to lure Letterman from NBC. They put him in the Ed Sullivan Theater. They gave him the 11:30 time slot. Toward the end, he was getting $30 million a year, and I doubt they lost a dime. It's like if a corporation bought a Bugatti as a company car to lure a really great hire. Then, when that guy retired, they had to give it to someone else who wasn't worth as much to the company. So they gave their Bugatti of a show to Stephen Colbert, who used the show to whine about Trump and visit drugstores with Dr. Fauci.
Don't forget to get your booster.
He had on Anderson Cooper 20 times, Neil deGrasse Tyson 20 times, Jake Tapper, Chris Hayes, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, the Pod Save America guys. All had guest appearances in the double digits. He had the head of USAID on 5 times, which may explain why we only heard about the money problems this year. And the show, when he announced he was being canceled, his first guest was Adam Schiff. The only celebrity was the guy who got 57th billing in the new Superman movie, and the musical guest was Miley Cyrus's sister. It's just not a good show, and no amount of Trump bashing can change that. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that got him here. Again, I think Colbert has comedic talent. He's a good comic performer, but underneath his honed performing skills is an empty shell of a person who thinks he's very important. And now with Colbert gone, where else am I going to find somebody like that?